Hello everyone. I hope you all had a lovely weekend. We had a beautiful day here yesterday and I got to spend most of it outside in the sunshine, which was absolutely divine. Today it's lashing rain, so I'm making the most of getting things done at home. So I've just played my heart bow. It's a little bit smaller than my root chakra bowl and my sacral chakra bowl, and the frequency is a higher frequency. It's actually the heart chakra bowl is the musical note F in the scale of C. So I am going to talk today about the importance of living in a flow state, the feminine state of being versus the masculine state of doing, and why it's so important to understand this and master it in our lives in order to be balanced and healthy. So this is something that I have had to master in my own life, and many years ago I actually was ill for a long time with a stress-related illness, and I had to learn how to eliminate stress from my life. And I went on a massive journey of discovery into meditation, yoga, nutrition, spirituality, everything under the sun in the quest to regain my health. And I learned an immeasurable amount, or regained an immeasurable amount of wisdom throughout that process. And now I feel it's my time to start sharing what I learned and my experiential knowledge of these ideas. So over the past couple of weeks, I've been really drawn back to basics. And when I started off on my own spiritual journey and journey of recovery of my health, I started with very basic concepts, and the most simple concepts made the most massive difference to my state of well-being and health. And I feel that over the past couple of years, things have been quite traumatic for everybody, and also my life has just got a little bit more busy in recent years. So I'm coming back to these simple ideas, tools and techniques, and I'm going to be teaching these more and more in classes and retreats, especially working with women over the next few weeks and months. So a couple of weeks ago, as I was explaining to you, I picked up these Kuan Yin cards, and I've been very drawn to the Kuan Yin energy, and the cards are absolutely beautiful. And then that seemed to bring me back to other ancient Eastern philosophies and wisdom and spirituality. And I was prompted again to pick up the Tao Te Ching, which is an ancient Chinese text. And this is very much this type of teaching. It's very similar to the ancient Indian Vedic scriptures and also ancient Celtic spirituality. These forms of spirituality were all very similar in nature, and they were all very gentle teachings. So completely different to the Abrahamic religions that we have and that we've had for the past couple of millennia. So these are teachings that really relate to your everyday life and your entire state of being. So I remember a frustration that I used to have growing up. I was raised in a Roman Catholic family, and I was dragged along to Mass every Sunday. And when I was there, I used to feel really frustrated because I'd be sitting listening to the priest, reading the readings and giving the sermon, and none of it seemed to be relatable. None of it seemed to be relevant to everyday life. And I was interested in spiritual things back then. But what I really wanted was somebody to teach ideals and concepts that would be useful for everyday life, for how we live our lives and to live our lives in the optimum way. So if I had have had access to this type of literature back then, it would have made a massive difference. But I did find my way back to it eventually. So the Tao Te Ching is a really beautiful book I would recommend to anybody. But another couple of books that are more contemporary, that are very much based around these concepts and ideas. I've one here by Eckhart Tolle. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle was the first spiritual book that I read, made a massive impact on me. But this one, Stillness Speaks, is very much about cultivating what is called the Tao in ancient Chinese spirituality. The Tao, stillness, peace within, consciousness. They're all just different names for the same thing. And all of these books and concepts and practices such as meditation, yoga, Tai Chi, sound healing, all of these modalities are designed to help us to get back in touch with the stillness that is within us, that is behind the chatter of the mind. And we can call it the monkey mind. It's always jumping about from one idea or one thought to another, thinking about the future, worrying about the future, dwelling on the past. So the Tao, or the stillness, lies behind all of that. And meditation is all about stripping away everything else so that we can get in touch with that still mind. And actually this morning I was listening to a talk by Dr. Joseph Murphy. He wrote the book, The Power of the Subconscious Mind. And just a line that stood out from the video this morning was, it was something along the lines of, it's the still mind that achieves the most. So this is the very antithesis of everything that we have been taught through our education system and through society. So when we go to school, our minds are filled with information. And this is supposedly an education, and these are supposedly ideas that we're meant to use to go forward and succeed in life. And there's nothing wrong with having information. But what this education system does is it programs our minds in a particular way so that we are programmed to live according to a formula rather than living in accordance with our own hearts and our souls. And we can only access that when the mind is still. So the school system actually puts us into the opposite state of being. So this would be a very left-brained state. Now, in order to be balanced whole individuals, we have to have a balance of both. The right and the left brain must be balanced. So the left brain is the logical brain, and the right brain would be the creative brain. So whenever we find ourselves in life that we're stressed out, that we're constantly doing, because that's another thing that the school system does, it gets us addicted to the state of doing. So from a very young age, 4 or 5, we're put into school, we're following a timetable, 9 o'clock in the morning till 3 or half 3 in the afternoon, the way it is here in the UK. And during that time, it's back-to-back lessons. So this timetable of activities that are imposed upon you, and you are conditioned to believe that it's bad or lazy to actually just sit and do nothing. So then when we go home, there's no opportunity for rest then, because of course you had your homework to do. So this was keeping you in a state of constant activity, or maybe you had after school activities that you went to as well, which I did a lot of. So you're constantly in this state of doing, your mind's constantly being programmed, your mind's constantly active and being filled with all of these ideas that are being fed to you whether you wanted it or not. And by the time you leave school at age 18, your mind is deeply, deeply, deeply programmed. And it's very difficult to get out of that until you start to become consciously aware of it and start to practice stillness. So that's what I'm focusing on very much today in this video, and what I'm going to be teaching. I'm starting a class on Wednesday, Calm Queens, on a Wednesday morning. It's an in-person class, but I want to be able to come on here and talk to people about this online also, because it's so important. So another book, third book I'm going to recommend today is this book, The Art of Effortless Living. And this is another book that made a huge impact on me. It's by Ingrid Batchy. It made a huge impact on me back in the day. I was reading it because it really resonated. It mirrored my own journey that I was going on. And it was written by somebody who had very, very high academic credentials and qualifications, huge professional success, huge social success, but at a very young age, around the same age that I found myself ill in my late 20s, she developed a really mysterious and debilitating illness that was unable to be cured by Western medicine. And she, like me, went on a quest to regain her health through natural living, meditation, yoga, nutrition, and many other spiritual and health practices. So this is a book that I'm going to be referring to a lot in my Wednesday morning class because it's full of lots of practical ideas, and it's really relatable because it talks about how, again, our society and the way that we live our lives keeps us in this constant state of doing, action, 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 busy mind, thinking, stress, and we're actually addicted to stress. Many people don't know actually how to stop. I did a class a few weeks ago, and I was doing some sound healing, and most of the people that were lying down listening to the sound healing were very relaxed and could switch it off. But one of the people in the class was unable to relax for the 10 or 15 minutes of meditation and sound healing that we were doing. So the person was shifting about a lot, coughing, had their eyes open the whole time, so they weren't able to even close their eyes and switch off for 10 or 15 minutes. And afterwards, that person actually admitted that they find it really hard to switch off. And I think men in particular find this very difficult, but some women also. But it's so important. It is probably one of the most important things that we can do for our health and well-being is our ability to slow down the mind and tune in to silence and stillness within, and then that helps to balance out all of the action and the doing and the responsibilities and obligations that we have, many of which are really nonsense. And we think that we have all these responsibilities and obligations, but they're just programs. It's just conditioning. Yes, we have some very real responsibilities. For example, if you have young children to look after, that's a real responsibility, and a few other responsibilities. But apart from that, most of the activity that we do in life is completely pointless and fruitless. It's a waste of energy. And as I'm saying this, I'm looking right now at my cat, who is lying over there in the corner, completely chilled out. And cats are masters of energy, absolute masters of balancing their energy and of the feminine state of being and the yin energy, because cats don't waste any energy. They preserve their energy and they rest most of the day, and during that time I believe they're actually astral traveling into other dimensions. But that's why cats live in a really high vibration. They're very, very, very high frequency, high vibrational beings. And there's actually studies that have been shown, for example, people who have broken bones, and they have done studies, people who lived with cats versus people who didn't live with cats. People who lived with the cats, actually their bones healed faster than those who didn't have a cat in their surroundings, because cats are constantly emitting this vibration through their purr. So the purring is actually a healing vibration, it's a healing sound. And cats can do this, maintain this really high state, because they're not stressed out. They're completely relaxed. Their bodies are so soft and agile and there's no tension. So if you want a perfect role model for how to relieve stress and live in a stress-free way, in this effortless way that's described in the book, The Art of Effortless Living, just look no further than your cat. Your cat is a perfect role model. And because they conserve all their energy, when they need it, like when they want to go out hunting or they need to get out of a sticky situation, they have the energy to act. So they can act when they need to, but they just don't take unnecessary action in their lives. And there's a big difference between actually action and activity. A lot of activity that we do is just a useless waste of energy. We're actually frittering away our energy that if we conserved it, we could put it into really achieving amazing things in your life. If you conserve your energy, your body has a lot more energy. You're vibrating at a higher frequency. If you understand the law of attraction, then that creates a completely different reality, external reality, because your reality is a reflection of your vibration. So if you're constantly doing and wasting your energy and draining yourself and becoming exhausted, you're going to be emitting a very low vibration, and you're not going to experience a very good external reality then either. Whereas if you conserve your energy, you're starting to fill up your cup, and you can't give from an empty cup. You should always give from your overflow. So we can conserve our energy, then we have so much more creative energy as well. And the more time that we spend in stillness, the more creative ideas come to us, the more we get in touch with our intuition, and then we start to understand what's really going on in the world. We start to understand what's really in our best and highest good versus what is being kind of fed to us, or maybe we're being manipulated in some way. If you're tuned into your intuition on a regular basis or on a constant basis, you cannot be manipulated into doing anything that is not in your greatest and highest good. Because if you are in complete control of your energy, and you're constantly aware of your energy and how different things affect your energy, and you become a master of your energy, you know straight away if something is good for you or if it's harmful to you. And that's why animals are so intuitive. That's why animals, they're very intuitive about people. If somebody was to come into a room, you could look to your dog or your cat to give you a character reference for that person, because they're picking up on the person's vibration. So this constant state of activity and this addiction to doing and thinking in the logical mind that we've been conditioned into through society and the educational system, it cuts us off from our intuition. And it cuts us off from our creativity, and it cuts us off from us having the highest possible experience of life. I don't think that this is an accident. It also makes people so much more dependent on external authorities to tell them how to live their lives. Why? Because they don't know themselves. They don't know who they are and what is in their highest good. They don't know that themselves, so they look to other people to tell them. And that's a very dangerous situation to be in, because many other people do not have your best interests at heart. And when people become dependent, another great idea that I came across at some stage was that codependency breeds narcissism. So when somebody is codependent, it opens the gate for narcissistic abuse to start happening. Because if you become dependent on another person to tell you what to do, and that person doesn't have good intentions, they're going to manipulate you into doing things that are not necessarily right for you, but are right for them. And that's how many of the governments and authorities and the elite people of the world operate. So most of humanity has been dulled down, and their intuition dulled down, and their connection to themselves dulled down, because they've been cut off from the stillness and the wisdom that they have within their own subconscious mind and within their own hearts and souls. They've been cut off from that, especially through constant stimulation and technology and media. And that is such a ripe opportunity for people who are opportunist in nature to come in and take advantage. So that's just something to think about. Another way for me to help to explain this is just a real life example. So for example, the last couple of days I haven't been feeling great. And I'm very, very sensitive to the energy of Uranus, and we had the Sun-Uranus conjunction last week, and that can leave you feeling just a bit frazzled, because Uranus is the higher mind, but it can bring in a lot of this high frequency energy that can then actually have an impact on your nervous system. And unless you actually take time out to integrate that energy, it can leave you feeling just a little bit on edge, a little bit anxious, a little bit just unsettled. So I know lots of people were feeling that over the past few days leading up to the weekend, and even maybe a little bit exhausted because we had a lot of solar activity as well, which was sending all this high frequency energy onto the earth. And as I said, that affects our bodies and our nervous systems, and we have to do practices to actually ground that energy in. So I actually had a plan on Sunday morning. We were starting a new class, but Saturday night, as I said, I hadn't been feeling great the last few days, Thursday, Friday and Saturday, and I thought I'd go to bed early on Saturday night so that I was feeling well to do the class on Saturday morning. But very unusually, I had a very bad night's sleep. I'm normally a great sleeper, but something happened. Somebody actually woke me up in the middle of the night. And when I wake up, I can't normally get back to sleep. If I fall asleep and sleep right through, which is normally what happens, I'll just sleep right through 8 or 9 hours, no bother. But if somebody wakes me suddenly out of my sleep in the middle of the night, it really does affect my nervous system, and I find it hard to get back to sleep at that stage. So this is what happened on Saturday night. So with the result that I was up from, say, I think it was 2, half 2 that it happened, and I didn't get back to sleep, and I was starting this class at 11 o'clock. And I just was feeling not great, as you can imagine. I wasn't feeling my best. So I decided, which I don't like to do, but I decided that I would postpone the class and we would start it next week instead, because I felt like I couldn't authentically sit in front of a group of people and try and help them to feel in their best state, in their best and highest energy, if I wasn't in tip-top condition myself. So I had to put myself first, and I had to take the day to myself to help my energy to balance out again, which it did. I spent the day out sunbathing, and I had lots of healthy, nutritious food, and we did meditation, and I had cacao, and we had a little fire ceremony as well, and it was beautiful. And today I feel fantastic. I feel great. I'm back to myself again. Now, if I hadn't have listened to my energy, and if I had have pushed through, which would have been my tendency in the past, when I wasn't feeling well, I pushed and I pushed and I pushed, and that led me into chronic ill health. So if we push and push and push and we don't listen to our energy and give ourselves what we need in order to balance out our energies and restore our energy, that's what leads us into a state of disease. Because disease is simply dis-ease within the body. When the energy is not balanced, when the energy is not strong, we are in a state of dis-ease. So it's really important that you learn to listen to your body and listen to your energy and understand what it is that you need in any given moment. Do you need to move? Do you need water? Do you need to rest? Once you get into a habit of doing this every day, of meditating every day, of sitting in stillness every day, of becoming aware of your body, of tuning into where you're holding tension in your body and learning how to release that tension, of becoming aware of how different things affect you, how different people affect you, how different sources of media affect you, how different foods affect you, how different environments affect you. The more tuned in you become to that, then you become a master of your energy. And then you start to live your life from a completely different place, from a place of you being in control rather than things pushing you from pillar to post and being dragged about all over the place, and then at the end of the day feeling drained and feeling like you haven't achieved anything and feeling dissatisfied with your life. And that makes me think of another thing. Many years ago I used to always complain, I've no time to do any things that I like to do. You know, I used to enjoy this and I used to enjoy that, and then, you know, when my daughter came along and I was working full time, I had to pay a mortgage, I then started complaining because, oh, I have to go to work, and then when I come home from work I have to make the dinner, and then I have to look after the child and put her to bed, and then I have to sort out the washing, and there's no time, you know, for me to do any of the things that I love to do. And then I started to realise, well, actually, you know, you sit down and watch TV every night, maybe from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. So there was 2 hours, and I always laugh when people say, oh, I'd love to meditate, but I don't have time. And I'll say to them, well, do you watch TV? And they'll say normally, yeah. Well, I said, well, if you want time to watch TV, you have time to meditate. So what I started to do was turn off the TV in the evenings, and I started to get back to sketching and drawing, because I used to love art. And then all of a sudden I couldn't believe how much time I had in the evenings. I had loads of time. There was no shortage of time. So I was able to get back to my hobbies of drawing and writing and reading, and that's when my life really started to change, because I started to get back in touch with what I wanted to do, rather than only doing all the things that I was obligated to do. Because we live in a constant state of obligation, and we wake up and we have this endless to-do list. Well, I have to do this and I have to do that and I have to do. That's exhausting. That's living in resistance. You're constantly going to be fighting with yourself because you're doing things that you don't really want to do, but you're pushing yourself to do it. And again, that's creating stress in your body and creating this sense of disease again, dis-ease. But if you wake up in the morning and you tune into, what do I feel like doing? You know, we're conditioned to believe that if we don't do all these have to do's, that we're just going to be lazy, selfish people. But it's not true, because actually, when you start relaxing and you start giving yourself the time and space in your life to just rest and be still, and you start doing what you love to do, you become a much happier person, you become a much healthier person, and you become a much more generous person, because you feel so great. You want everybody else to feel great too. So you stop being an energy vampire, and you stop sucking the life out of people, and you stop, you know, with all the kind of poor me victim mentality, or trying to manipulate people to get your own way, or any of these control drama techniques that people engage in because they're just disconnected from themselves. You become a much more self-sufficient person. You become a much more content person. You're content in your own company, you're content in your own life, and you actually then start to be able to give to other people in a way that benefits them. So I hope this video has been interesting. Hi James, hi Dolores, I think you've been with me for most of it, so thanks for joining me. I know a few other people have dipped in and out. So feel free to comment below if this video has resonated with you, if you'd like to learn more about what I've been talking about and how you can integrate it into your life. If you live locally, you're very, very welcome to come along to any of my classes or retreats that I'm going to be running over the next few weeks and months. I have a class starting on a Wednesday morning, 11 to 12, Calm Queens, where we're going to be doing meditation, sound healing, mudras. We're going to be reading from this book, The Art of Effortless Living. Tom and myself are going to be running what we call a Soulful Sunday Social on a Sunday morning, again 11 to 12. That's going to be slightly different. Again, guided meditation and sound healing, but we're going to do some Qigong. So that's going to be really lovely. And there's more of a social element. That's for men and women. The class on Wednesday is just for women. I also have a retreat, a half-day-ish retreat coming up at the end of this month. I think it's Saturday the 28th of May, which is just for women. It's called Awaken the Goddess Within. And we're going to take just a day out to be in this feminine energy, to do feminine movement, meditation, maybe a wee bit of drumming. We're going to do some artwork, some creativity. We're going to have some beautiful, nourishing vegan food. And of course, we have the beautiful surroundings of the garden to enjoy. And you'll meet some lovely people who are interested in learning more about this being in your highest energy. Thank you, Stuart. Thank you for the compliment. So that's another way that you can connect in with what I'm doing. And I'm also running some weekends in July and August, residential weekends, 2 nights. So you have beautiful accommodation. Again, you'll be meeting up with other women, and we'll be having a combination of sound healing, meditation, drumming, dance, free time to go walking in the mountains. And it's going to be absolutely beautiful. So if you would like to get any more information about any of these classes or retreats or weekends that I'm running, please do get in touch. I'd love to hear from you, and you'd be very, very welcome to come along. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you again soon.